Hey there, YouTube family. This is Tim once again with Mods in Motion, and it's time to change the front springs on my 1984 Camaro I call Project Plain Jane. As always, before we start working on the car, you want to grab some safety glasses and any other protection you might need while working on the vehicle. Next, you want to be sure to remove the negative battery cable from your battery. Now, of course, for the next step, you're going to safely jack up the car and support it on jack stands so that you've got enough room and clearance to work up under the car. Okay, tip number one is don't forget to remove the grease fitting from underneath the ball joint, because you're going to be positioning the jack underneath the ball joint of each A-arm throughout the process. Alright, so when we install the spring, normally we use just a single spring compressor. But I got this tip from another YouTuber, and essentially the idea was to use both type of spring compressors. We use this one and in conjunction with these two. The idea is to cinch these down a little bit as you cinch this one down, and so that you are able to keep from putting so much strain and pressure on this central spring compressor. Okay guys, so this is what the spring looks like when it's compressed using both types of spring compressors. And again, essentially the idea is to, when you crank this one, usually the way I did it was about a quarter turn each turn. You want to do it, let's say 4 times on this one and 3 on these two. 4, 3, 3. So that you're cinching it down a little at a time. Okay, so now that I have this compressed as much as I need to, I'm gonna go ahead and remove each one of these, because you can't get, especially on these Camaros, you can't get the spring up into the pocket because these will be obstructing the spring from going up into the pocket. So we have to take these off, and that will help us get it up into the pocket and be able to ease the installation. Okay guys, this is another important tip that you want to pay attention to during the installation. So when you install your spring, you want to make sure you index it. And what we mean by indexing is align it with these holes, in between these holes that are in the A-arm. This is important because it can affect the ride height or also the performance of the spring. So you want to make sure you index the spring as you put it in. That means to align that bottom coil, the end of the bottom coil, so that it covers and sits in between this area here. When you get ready to install the spring, you want to index that end between those two holes toward the inside of the lower A-arm. Again, so align this fork with the area that's the coil that's going to be indexed, so that when we get ready to pull this out, it won't interfere, it won't be obstructed by the lower A-arm. The side of the spring with the painted end goes at the top of the shock tower. While we're here, we want to clean this area up just a little bit. Rough this surface up just to create a nice surface for paint to stick. I'm gonna take a little alcohol or some other solvent and wipe the area down so that you get good adhesion. Again, this is not a permanent thing. You just want to make it look, at least I just want to make it look a little better after I install the new part. Now we take some plastic and a little painter's tape, and we're going to put it around the edges to protect all of this in here and to just expose this area here. Strut below, covered it with new plastic so as not to get any crumb on it. Let that dry for about 5 or 10 minutes. I'm going to hit it with a little, just a little wipe. Alright, so we're going to let this dry until tomorrow, and we'll come back and finish this job up again. Alright, the next day, we're going to take and get rid of all of this. All of the plastic tape. Now this is the new mount, and we're going to take and go ahead and put that on and mount it down here. All right, we're going to tighten these down just enough to make it snug and allow us to bring the strut up into the mount. And we'll actually change it after we get it mounted. All right, family, I wanted to show you something here. I've decided to make a slight modification in this application because the nut for the strut, these are new struts that I recently put on. They have this raised area here, and so they don't, the nut doesn't fit flush onto the surface down here. So I've decided to add a washer, a locking washer. As you can see, this washer will literally fit flush with the bottom of that raised area on the nut. So when we secure it, it should press nice and firmly down onto the mounting surface on the strut here, for the strut and the strut mount. All right, as you can see, we have a nice flush mounted and secure installation. And so we're going to go ahead and just replace that factory dust cap. And